What is up, People First Leaders? Happy Wednesday, June 23rd. My name is Chris Lynn, and I am going to talk to you about everything that's going on in the world and how it affects the employee experience. Don't forget to hit subscribe or that follow button so you know when new videos are up and running so you can get involved in the conversation, and make sure you really quick hit that thumbs up button. Before we jump into today's news and topics, I wanted to tell you about the Leaders for Equity, Allyship, and Diversity. It is a group focused on having difficult conversations around DEI and helping individuals grow in this area. The topic the group is covering tomorrow, Thursday, June 24th, is on the intersection of LGBTQIA2S+ and Indigenous folks. There's more on this topic and the event down below in the description, and we hope to see you there. We're officially in the summer of 2021, and I know a lot of you are ready to ditch your caves, known as your houses, and get away from work for a well-needed vacation. The Society for Human Resources recently did a study that showed that over 40% of employees are feeling burnt out from their work, and almost half are mentally and physically exhausted at the end of their workday. Robert Half did a study that showed about 25% of employees last year forfeited their paid time off, and another 30% of employees are actually looking to take more than 3 weeks of paid time off this year. You can imagine that this poses a really big problem as society and our economy is starting to open back up. Organizations want to make up for the last year and a half, get employees back into the office, and really rebound with the economy to stay ahead of their own competitors. So this bind that employers are finding themselves in with needing to bounce back and their employees feeling burnt out is a really, really big issue. This is not an easy issue to deal with. A lot of companies never even adjusted their PTO policies in the last year, and the question is now, how do you keep productivity going while providing the much needed time off that their employees need? In an upcoming Leading People First podcast episode, I actually talked with Dr. Gina Huang Picarella from JobShare Connect on this topic of job sharing. Splitting role responsibilities across the team or between multiple team members during this time could be beneficial and allow for these gaps to be filled, also while providing learning opportunities and flexibility within a company. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Are you planning to take extra time off to make up for last year? Is your company implementing any solutions to address this issue? Or do you have any ideas to deal with a drastically increasing labor shortage? Moving on to some legislative news, I want to talk about the Supreme Court ruling that came down today in favor of the Pennsylvania student Brandy Levy, who was suspended for swearing on Snapchat, who was really just venting out about not making the varsity cheerleading squad. While this scenario is clearly between a public school and a student and rules that students can't have their First Amendment rights infringed upon outside of school hours or off campus, this really brings up the question on how this may apply to employees and employers. At the moment, only public sector employees have protection as private citizens when it comes to their free speech rights. The only other protection most employees fall under would be anything like unionization, discrimination, or state-specific protections. So how does this apply to the employee experience? Well, a 2016 survey found that over 40% of employees believe getting fired over a social media post was actually an infringement on their First Amendment rights, and that's just not true. So at this time, employers really need to start thinking hard about their own policies and how to handle employees who do post on social media. We've seen over the last few years how organizations have tried to handle it, and any terminations or consequences have had a ripple effect inside their organization, causing disruption. Leaders need to be prepared for this ripple effect and develop guidance and policies that will protect both their employees' well-being and safety, as well as the organization's culture and environment in order to hold its integrity. So I would love to know what you think about the Supreme Court ruling, and how do you think that these external social media posts that your employees may be posting, or maybe you're posting, would affect the employee culture that's happening inside the company. Next, let's talk about at-will employment. If you didn't know, most jobs in the United States fall under at-will employment when an employer can fire you for any reason at all. Some groups have protections like executive, chief level positions, most unionized workspaces, and most government public positions, as well as the state of Montana. Good for you, Montana. But I don't know about you, but growing up, I was told that this at-will employment was actually a benefit for employees. This meant that we as employees could leave at any time without suffering any sort of consequence. But that's actually not really true. But at-will employment actually benefits the employer. It is because it is not required for them to provide any sort of documentation or justification for terminating an employee. So this could all change with a new law going into effect on July 5th in New York City. Back in 2018, Melody Walker was fired from her position at Chipotle because her manager told her she wasn't smiling. Since then, Melody has worked with union organizers and local government officials to draft a new set of laws that require fast food businesses to show why the employee is being let go, whether they've done something wrong or for some other job-related reason. While this only applies to fast food businesses in New York City, it's not too much of a push to see that be a standard for all employers across the entire United States. At the moment, some groups are encouraging President Joe Biden to issue an executive order that would create just cause protection for federal contractors, while other individuals like Senator Bernie Sanders wants this to be applied to all employers nationally. Being in California, the state that tends to be a bit more progressive and the rules that side on employees, I could see that this being implemented here in California, which would require a huge change for employers to update their policies and change their HR processes. Downstream, this would change the dynamic of the environment that employees work in. What do you think would happen if this was a national standard? Please let me know what you think about this movement of just cause termination. Wrapping up today, I want to talk about an article by Marcel Schwantz featured on Inc.com that talks about the 4 rare habits for positive leadership. At the core of this article is the requirement of emotional intelligence and maturity. I personally like reading and sharing these articles because it helps me figure out what a people-first leader actually is. Marcel's article covers a book by Marcus Warner and Jim Wilder called The Rare Leadership in the Workplace: 4 Uncommon Habits that Improve Focus, Engagement, and Productivity. More often than not, our organizations and trainings are focused on hard technical skills that are required for roles, and we focus on the wrong parts of personalities like charisma. Warner and Wilder's book dives into brain science and the 4 rare habits: remain relational, act like yourself, return to joy, and endure hardship. I won't take away from Marcel's article or the book, but I'll share my own personal thoughts. People-first leaders absolutely need to be relational and authentic with their teams to get the most out of them and create engaging environments. Anything fake can be seen through very easily, making employees distrust their leaders. And I'm not sure I really agree with their point about enduring hardships well, because really all of us have to deal with things that are tough, not just leaders. So be sure to check out the article. I've linked it down below, and I would love to hear what you think. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you get notifications when new videos and streams are up and running as we continue to enhance the employee experience. Be kind to one another and stay awesome.